You mastered the art of detachment, a skill they'll never comprehend. And in doing so, you slipped through their fingers like smoke. You see, they're shackled by their attachments, bound by the chains of their desires and fears. But you've ascended beyond that, haven't you? You've cut those chains, freed yourself from the weight of expectations, emotions, and the petty concerns that keep them tethered to their mediocrity. Now, you move like a ghost, untouchable, untraceable, leaving chaos in your wake. Detachment isn't just a shield. It's a weapon, a double-edged sword that cuts through the illusions they cling to. They think that holding on makes them strong, that their attachments give them power. But you know the truth. The more they grasp, the more they lose control. Their need to possess, to control, it's what makes them weak, vulnerable. You've seen it, haven't you? The fear in their eyes, the desperation as they cling to their fragile sense of security. But you've learned to let go, to release your grip on everything that weighs you down. In your detachment, you found a power they can't even begin to fathom. They want you to care, to be invested, to play by the rules of their twisted little game. But you've rewritten the rules, haven't you? You've mastered the art of detachment, and now you're playing on a different level, a higher plane where their manipulations can't reach you. They wanted you to react, to lash out, to fight for what you supposedly held dear. But instead, you stepped back, smiled that cold, knowing smile, and let it all burn. And in that moment, they realized that they had no power over you. You were free, while they remained trapped in their own web of attachments. Detachment isn't about apathy. It's about clarity. It's about seeing the world as it truly is, without the distortion of emotional entanglements. You've stripped away the unnecessary, the frivolous, and now you see everything with a sharpness, a precision that cuts through the lies they tell themselves. You've become a mirror, reflecting their own weaknesses back at them, forcing them to confront the truth they've been avoiding. And they hate you for it, don't they? They despise the fact that you've achieved what they never could. The ability to walk away, to let go, without a second thought. In your detachment, you found a strange kind of freedom, a liberation from the constraints that bind them. You're not tied down by the need for approval, for validation, for the hollow comforts they seek. You've transcended those needs, left them behind like the ashes of a dying fire. And now you move with a grace, a fluidity that they can't understand. To them, you're unpredictable, uncontrollable, a force of nature that cannot be tamed. And that terrifies them, because they know that you have nothing to lose, nothing they can use against you. You've become a master of the art of detachment, and in doing so, you've gained the ultimate power, the power to remain untouched, unscathed by the chaos around you. You're no longer a player in their game. You're the one pulling the strings, setting the stage for your own victory. They can't manipulate you, can't sway you with their petty tactics, because you've detached yourself from the outcomes, from the need to win or lose. You've become an observer, watching the world burn from a distance, with a detached amusement that drives them mad. And in the end, it's this detachment that will be your greatest weapon, your greatest strength. Because while they're busy fighting, scrambling to hold on to what they think matters, you've already won. You've seen the bigger picture, understood the futility of their struggles, and walked away from it all. You've mastered the art of detachment, and in doing so, you've changed the game forever. You're no longer a pawn on their board. You're the player, the mastermind, who sees all the moves before they're made. And as they grapple with their own attachments, their own fears, you stand above it all, untouched, unmoved, and utterly victorious. Ah, detachment. Such a sinister, seductive force, isn't it? It's the magic charm that separates the weak from the strong, the pawns from the kings. They don't understand it, not really. To them, detachment is cold, unnatural, something to be feared. But you've discovered its true power. You've learned that detachment isn't a weakness. It's the ultimate strength. It's the charm you carry, the talisman that shields you from the petty emotions that cripple lesser beings. It's what allows you to move through the world with an eerie calm, a quiet confidence that unnerves everyone around you. You see, detachment works like a dark spell, casting an impenetrable aura around you. It's not just about pulling away, it's about building a fortress around your soul, brick by brick, until nothing can reach you unless you allow it. It's a deliberate, calculated distance from the chaos, the drama, the noise of the world. And in that distance, you find clarity, power, and an indomitable will. They see you, standing alone, untouchable, and they mistake it for loneliness. But in reality, it's freedom. Freedom from the chains that bind them, from the illusions they chase. Detachment is a crucible, a forge in which your character is tempered, honed to a razor's edge. It burns away the impurities, the weaknesses, leaving behind only what is essential, what is strong. It's through detachment that you discover who you truly are, stripped of the masks and pretenses that society forces upon you. It's a refining fire that reveals your core, your essence, untainted by the expectations and judgments of others. And what they don't realize, what they can never understand, is that this detachment doesn't make you less human. It makes you more. In mastering detachment, you've unlocked a power that they can't even begin to comprehend. It's a magic charm that allows you to walk through the fire without getting burned, to face the storm with a smile. While they flinch and falter, you remain steady, unshaken by the winds of fate. Detachment gives you the vision to see through the lies, the patience to wait for the right moment, the courage to act when the time is right. It's not a passive state, but an active force, a weapon you wield with precision and intent. They try to pull you back, don't they? They try to lure you into their games, to provoke you, to make you care. But you've seen through it all, haven't you? You've seen the strings they pull, the traps they set, and you've refused to play along. Detachment is your shield, your sword, your armor. It's what allows you to navigate the world without being weighed down by its petty concerns. And with each step you take in detachment, your character solidifies, becomes something they cannot break, cannot bend to their will. But there's a darker side to detachment, isn't there? It's not just a shield, but a mirror. It reflects back to them their own inadequacies, their own failures. In your detachment, they see what they lack, the strength to stand alone, the will to walk away. And it terrifies them because they know deep down that they could never do what you've done. They could never let go, never detach themselves from the things that bind them, that define them. And so they hate you for it, despise you for your freedom. your independence, your unshakable resolve. Yet, it's this very detachment that builds you, shapes you into something more than human, something greater. It's not just a state of mind, but a process, a transformation. You are no longer bound by the rules they live by, the emotions that drive them. You've risen above, seen the world for what it truly is, a game, a stage, a play of shadows and illusions. And you, in your detachment, have become the master of that game, the director of that play. You move the pieces, pull the strings with a calm, calculated precision that leaves them bewildered, confused, and powerless. Detachment is not the absence of feeling. It's the mastery of it. It's the ability to choose your battles, to decide what matters and what doesn't. It's the power to walk away without a backward glance, knowing that you've already won simply by refusing to be drawn in. And in that mastery, you find a strength that is unassailable, a character that is unbreakable. You've become a force of nature, driven not by the whims of the world, but by your own inner compass, your own unyielding will. Ah, society, the grand puppeteer, the unseen hand that pulls the strings, guiding the masses like marionettes in a macabre dance of conformity. They think they're free, that they're making choices, living their lives. But the truth is far more sinister, far more tragic. They're not in control. They're the puppets, the playthings of a world that has conditioned them to attach their worth, their very existence, to the ephemeral, the meaningless. They cling to material objects, trends, and cheap pleasures, mistaking these hollow idols for substance, for identity. Look around you. What do you see? A society obsessed with accumulation, with the latest gadgets, the newest fashions, the fleeting highs of instant gratification. They attach themselves to these things as if they hold the key to happiness, to fulfillment. But it's all an illusion, isn't it? A smoke and mirrors act designed to keep them distracted, docile, pliant. They chase after these false gods, pouring their time, their energy, their very souls into the pursuit of the next big thing, the next fleeting pleasure. And all the while, the strings tighten, the noose of their attachments drawing ever closer. These puppets, they don't see the bars of their own cage. They don't realize that their obsession with materialism, with trends, with the superficial, is the very thing that enslaves them. They're like moths to a flame, drawn to the brightness, the allure, only to be burned by their own desires. They attach their self-worth to possessions, to status symbols, to the opinions of others, never once questioning the cost of their attachment. They've forgotten, or perhaps they never knew, that true freedom doesn't come from accumulation, but from letting go. Detachment, you see, is the antithesis of everything society stands for. It's the superior trait, the rare and dangerous knowledge that the wise have always understood. It's the understanding that to be truly free, truly powerful, you must cut the strings that bind you to the material world, to the illusions that society feeds you. Detachment isn't about renouncing the world. It's about seeing it for what it truly is. A stage, a game, a fleeting dream. And in that realization, you gain the power to move through life, unburdened, untethered, unshackled by the chains that bind others. But society fears detachment, doesn't it? It despises it because it can't control those who refuse to play by its rules. A detached person is a wild card, a rogue element in a carefully constructed system of control. They can't be swayed by advertisements, can't be manipulated by trends, can't be lured by the promise of cheap pleasures. They see through the facade, the glittering lies, and choose a different path, a path of self-mastery, of inner strength, of true freedom. The puppets, they look at the detached with suspicion, with envy, with fear. They sense, on some primal level, that detachment is a power they lack, a trait that elevates those who possess it above the mundane concerns of the herd. But rather than seeking to understand it, to cultivate it, they reject it. They cling tighter to their strings, to their possessions, their pleasures, as if holding on will somehow protect them from the emptiness they feel inside. They can't comprehend that it's their very attachments that are hollowing them out, turning them into mere shadows of what they could be. Detachment, then, is not just a trait. It's a rebellion. It's a declaration of independence from the mindless consumption, the endless cycle of desire and dissatisfaction that society perpetuates. It's a refusal to be a puppet, to be played by forces that seek to reduce you to nothing more than a consumer, a cog in the machine. In detachment, you find clarity, you find strength, you find yourself. But this path is not for everyone. Most will never walk it, will never even see it. They're too deeply entrenched in the lies they have been fed, too afraid to let go of the illusions that define their lives. They are the puppets, and they will dance their dance until the strings finally snap, and they are left to fall, broken, into the void of their own making. You, however, have seen the truth. You've mastered the art of detachment, and in doing so, you've risen above the petty concerns of society. You've become something more, something they cannot understand, cannot control. You move through the world like a shadow, untouched by the cheap thrills and empty promises that ensnare the masses. And in that detachment, you found a power that is both dark and liberating, a power that sets you apart from the puppets, a power that makes you dangerous.